What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 106. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911, and today I'm joined by Billy, aka BHank82. Billy, how you doing today?
Good. Are we sure it's 106?
I think so. There's been a lot of
Wow.
these, so
Would you believe that?
I know, right? We're here for a special spooky episode,
Ooh.
Halloween edition of the podcast. Oh God, the lights. So we'll be talking some Halloween topics for you guys. But if you want to catch this podcast live, you can go over to twitch.tv/Enigma911 every Sunday, or it's up there at 8 p.m. Eastern. You join the chat. If you're a subscriber over there, we'd love to have you. If you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. It drops the very next week over on YouTube and podcast services, or it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 on the following Friday. Remember, guys, Extra Life 2021 is coming up right around the corner, November 20th, which is a Saturday. 24 hours of gaming, raising money for the kids over at Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, trying to help those guys out. So any way you can help us out by either watching, donating, or just spreading the word would be greatly appreciated. And last but not least, #ad merch store. Get all of your swag over there, t-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand and support us, and we would love you for it. We got Mrs. G and Papa Griff in the chat. Hello. Saying hello to Billy as well. So yes,
Hello.
It's Halloween today. Woo!
It's Halloween.
If you're listening to this not live, hope you guys had a good holiday. Hope you guys were safe. Hope you didn't eat too much candy and get sick. But yes, we are going to have some Halloween-centric topics today, except for one. But Billy, what's your topic today to kick us off?
Well, to kick us off on this old October 31st of 2021, I figured we should talk about none other than Halloween and what we enjoy most about Halloween, whether it was when we were a little bit older or when we were a kid, what we like doing as Halloween, what we look forward to it with the holiday approaching, and just type of stuffs like that.
Cool.
So first, I'd like to ask you, what was your, like, when I ask you what your favorite costume you ever wore was, what do you think that one would be? Just pulling it out of the memory bank.
Yikes, that's always a tough one because I know a lot of them blend together, or like I don't remember. Like I know there was a couple repeats. I feel like a Star Wars character, whether it was Obi-Wan or whatever. I feel like I did that a few times. I was Darth Maul one year. I think it was Harry Potter. I know it was Ron because I remember doing that. I'll go with Ron Weasley because I just remember that costume. But then also, it was 5th grade when I did that costume, and what they would do, I think it was 5th grade. Yeah, they did like a Halloween parade around the school. So like you were just in your costumes walking around, and teachers would, hand out candy and stuff like that as you were going around. I just remember that being a lot of fun. And
Sure.
there was that. It was like the year of like parties. So you had that parade at school, and then also at Taekwondo we had the Halloween party. And the whole little loop that we would have the kids do, and the people would, the judges would grade them like creative and scary and all that stuff. I remember acting it up because you were supposed to act your role and do stuff.
Sure.
So I remember being Ron, and like my mom had sewn like a little decoration like rat to my shoulder. So I was pretending that was Scabbers, and I was like trying to do spells on Scabbers. I remember that a lot. So I would say that one.
Did you win?
No, I definitely did not. No. I would just say that one just because it was the most like involved with like activities wise.
Yeah.
There was some other fun ones. If I'm thinking way back, there's a photo of me with my grandparents, and I'm like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something. But I was Macho Man Randy Savage, so I had like the tassels and the painted on beard and everything, and that was a lot of fun. That was just fun memories.
That's a
that.
goofy one. Did you have the voice down too when you were that young?
I highly doubt it. That would have been awesome. Oh yeah, Grandma and Grandpa. What's up?
You want some candy? Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got any Slim Jims? Yeah.
Sure.
What
That's a
about
good
you?
one. I remember when I was younger, we used to trick or treat in my aunt's development over near Taekwondo. And I went one year as SpongeBob.
Okay.
It was just like a cutout, like I just put my head through it, and it was just this foam like cutout of SpongeBob SquarePants. And I thought it was pretty awesome, and I'm walking around, and I don't know why, but everyone just kept giving me love for being SpongeBob. Like all the older kids and all like the parents walking by and shit. And they were like, "Oh my God, SpongeBob, we love you!" And I'm like, "I am SpongeBob. This is crazy." And I was so young, and I was just a little doofus walking around as SpongeBob. That
Mm.
one, and I kept it for a while, and I ended up wearing it in like middle school, and it was much smaller. But I broke it back out for another time. So that one was a classic one. And then I had a Spider-Man costume when I was younger too. And after Halloween, I would wear it to bed every now and again because I would have bad dreams. And I was
Oh
like, well,
no.
if I'm just Spider-Man, like I'm not gonna have bad
There
dreams.
you go.
But then I still had bad dreams, and then I
Ah.
couldn't fit it in it. I couldn't fit in it anymore, so then we had to get rid of it. That was a
Mm.
sad day.
Yeah.
But I wore the heck out of that costume.
Mm.
Um, Other than that, I was Peter Parker one year. That
I
was really easy.
I remember that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was an easy costume to do, but it was fun. And then for an ultimate frisbee tournament, we had every team had like a theme they had to go as,
Mm.
and our theme was Nickelodeon characters.
Okay.
Um, so then a few of my friends came up to me and they were like, "Hey, we need a Mr. Crocker for our we had they had two Fairly Odd Parents. They had a Timmy, and then they had the guy who has like the rule book, the big macho guy who
Oh,
has like
yeah. Some with a J,
I
I
don't remember
think.
his name.
Oh,
I don't
crap.
remember his name,
Yeah,
but
I can
he's got
picture
like
him.
he's got the rules.
Yeah, yeah.
So they had them, and they were like, "We need a Mr. Crocker," and I was like, "Oh, that's easy. I can do that." But I lost my voice because I kept screaming about the fairies. But that was a blast to be him.
Oh.
Um,
All right. In real time, Papa Griff coming in with a photo of the Macho Man outfit.
no way.
Yeah. A little
Oh my
camoed
God, that's
out, but yeah.
ridiculous.
Thank you for that.
That's good. That's good stuff. That's
Ah,
good stuff. Yeah.
nice.
What were some of your favorite activities? You said you mentioned the Taekwondo
Mm.
Halloween party. Were you a big trick or treater? Did you really look forward to going and doing that?
I
'Cause
did.
you had a nice development to do it too when you were younger.
Yeah, I do remember even doing it over in the old house in Geyser. I remember there, and that
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the age I was living there, like that place was huge. I don't remember too much, like specifically. Like I always remember being lost or thought I was lost because I had no idea where we are, just all dark and stuff. But yeah, I think when I really started like, or my more favorite years of going was middle school, I think it was. But my buddy John lived maybe just down the road, like a few minutes of a walk. But I would go with him, his brother and sister, and some other friends of theirs, and we would just all go around the neighborhood. And I think my favorite part of it was just like obviously hanging out with them was a blast. Being independent was cool. Like my parents were at home, they knew where I was, obviously, but like just us
Yeah.
feeling like, oh, we're on our own and going around getting
Yep.
the candy and stuff. And then afterwards, like just us all dumping out our candy and being like, oh, I don't want
Doing the
this. What do you
trade.
want? Yeah, that
Yeah.
just was a lot of fun
Yeah.
um, doing. And yeah, it was, like especially those years where it wasn't too cold or anything, like it was a comfortable
Hmm.
temperature, was just the best. Then you had other years where it was a shit show, where it was either
Yeah. It was
raining
just
or there was snow
downpouring.
on the
Yeah.
ground. It was like, oh, this is the worst. I don't
Yeah.
want to go anywhere.
Yeah. There's definitely a big difference. Like when I was younger and doing it with my sister and my parents, and then in middle school, I
Mm,
started going over to Counter's development
mm,
and started trick or treat with him, and that was cool. Just me and him, like we same like type of deal. Like we'd always walk around that development and ride our bikes around it. But then it was like Halloween night and it's all dark out. You're like, did we go down this road yet? Have we gone? Where the heck are we? Like, how
mm.
far away are we from the house? But we're just going house to house getting candy. And then I was gonna bring up getting back to his house and pouring it all on the floor. And I'm just like, oh, I don't like these.
Yep.
You take two of these, I'll take one of these here. Just doing a massive trade.
Hmm.
That was good stuff.
Did you
Good
have any
times.
places that handed out those king size candy bars?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
those are always the
Not.
house.
I
You're
don't
like,
think.
oh shit.
Mhm. I don't think it was. I don't think it was when I was with Connor.
Okay.
I think it was when I went to my aunt's development.
Uh-huh.
There's two houses. One that did the big size candy bars, and we'd always hit them first so they didn't run out,
Mm.
and we'd like start our loop there. Um, because it was a friend of my aunt's or whatever, and she
Hmm.
was like, "Hey, go to this house. Like, it's gonna give you big candy bars." And then the one across the street would give you like packages of Peeps, like whole
Oh,
packages of
oh
Peeps.
shit.
But
Okay.
I didn't like Peeps though. I
Hmm.
hated those. That's probably why he was tossing them out of package size,
Yeah.
because like nobody really needs them. But that was still cool to be like, "Oh my God, I have all these Peeps." And then I
Yeah.
ate one, and I was like, "This is disgusting." And I'd give them to my uncle. Yeah, those were good, and that was always a good surprise. That too, and did you, when there was a bowl that said "Please take one," did you only take one?
I did. I only took one. I think there might have been one year where I took like a handful, but yeah, most of the part I would just take
Sure.
one.
I would usually, I would usually take like two or three. I'd never like clean the bowl out, but
Yeah,
if it
no.
was take one, I was taking like two or three. I couldn't do that, but like I was definitely taking more than just one,
Mm.
because I mean, come on. That, and you know what I did hate too, when somebody would be like dressed up on the front porch and
Oh,
you couldn't tell if they were just like an object or like
yep.
a something there, and then you go to grab in the bowl and they like stand up or they jump. Those ones, trust issues were built there.
we
That's
had
just,
we had one house in the development that was known as the like they went hard. They made like haunted houses, not really, but like in
yeah.
their garage or something, around. And there was a couple years where they went pretty at it. And there was one year I remember they must have had like a couple smoke machines or whatever, but a lot of fog going around. Garage is wide open, and essentially it's just the bowl was just sitting there in front of like a mirror or something like that, and there was just sheets around, and I think they might have had one mannequin or two, but they had, with the smoke also, they had those flashing lights.
Oh
So it
yeah.
was like, it kind of makes it a little bit more distorted, and everybody's just standing like, I don't know, man, I don't want to fucking go. Just you go to it. It's like, oh, this is the worst. But it definitely was
Yep.
a nice like variety to have, like just normal, 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 and then obviously like, oh, the change of the house
Yeah.
being spooky and stuff. But yeah, that was rough. I do
Mhm.
remember one year. I don't remember. I must have been young, but um, a family friend of ours in a different development, they would do. They did. I don't know if they did it every year, but they did it a few years. They did their own haunted house at like their neighbors. It was like the cul-de-sac. They
Yeah.
got together and did it, and we helped them out with that. And I remember that being a lot of fun because as a kid,
Mhm.
like I don't like spooky stuff, but I'll give it a shot and try and scare some people. And I was just being dumb the whole time. Like I'm sure it wasn't really intimidating anybody. But like I just remember their setup was really cool. So like they had like stuff that was still, that was just decoration or whatever. But they had designed also a labyrinth of just like essentially black tarps, and they pumped smoke in there, and I think they might have had a
Yeah.
flashing light, but like if you were brave enough you would go through there and they'd have some people mess with you. And then I
Mhm.
remember the one family friend, he dressed up as like a Viking character, but what he would do is he was just really good at being stationary and not moving, and then every once in a while either follow a group or just like enough slight movement to freak people out. That was a fun
Yeah.
year when I did that, like just experiencing
Yeah.
that side of it, um, doing the spooky stuff or the haunted house. But yeah, good times.
Yeah. That reminds me too of I did the same thing. My old tech teacher from middle school, he lives in the area that I live in too,
Hmm.
right up the road, and he had this old like barn or
Okay.
like this old like long warehouse type deal, and he'd get there was one year one of his students she had cancer.
Mm.
So he was like, oh, we're gonna build a haunted house and we're gonna charge people to go through it and we're gonna use we're gonna give you all the proceeds to it.
Hmm.
So I got in. He asked me if I wanted to come and help, and like we were putting up like it was like just a basic like tiny, not tiny, but like not a huge barn,
Yeah.
but we made it so that it was like a labyrinth inside with those black tarps. We were putting 4x4s up and then hanging tarps, and then so that way like we made it a maze, so it made it much longer and much more innovative. And everybody had like their own section of a room that they
Mm.
had to like we had people painting, we had people figuring out what we wanted to do. Me and my friend Tyler, we were like working all the wiring and everything with that, with like the strobe lights and all that stuff. And we ended up, one of the things we did, we busted a fan open took the fan motor out so that it was, we had something to spin.
Yeah.
And then we hooked a fishing wire to it, and then we made a ghost that we hung from the fishing wire. So then when we turned the fan on, it was spinning the motor, and it just would whip this ghost around. So that was a lot of fun. And the room I had, we made like this platform, and we had a noose, and then we had a like a harness.
Mm-hmm.
And my tech teacher was like, "You're the only guy who's like small enough to go on the harness." So like, it had me hooked up in, and it looked like I was hanging from the roof. But I had the harness on,
Yeah.
so I wasn't hooked to that at all, and I had plenty of slack in the rope. But everyone assumed that I just was an inanimate object because they walked in, they're like, "Oh, this guy's hanging from the roof."
Right.
And then I just jumped down one platform. I just had we made like a staircase, and I
Okay.
just jumped from one stair to the next one and like jumped in front of them and like hung from the harness and scared so many people. But and the girl we were doing it for, she was such a great soul, such a great spirit. She had just recently had surgery and she had her left leg removed.
Okay.
And she came in one day and she was like, "Now what if this is the first room, right?" And Mr. Silva was like, "Yeah, it's the first room." And she's like, "Okay. Now what if I just laid on the ground and like we had like a fake leg like right here?" And she's like, "And then I just like move away and like I just don't have a leg." And this guy just stared at her and he was like, "Are you kidding?" She's like, "No, I think it'd be hysterical." And he was like, "Yeah, no, go for it."
Okay. I mean...
And it was that was a riot. That was good. But it was because since he was a teacher, he got the whole district into it and everything. And
Nice.
when we had 2 nights that we like did it
Mm-hmm.
and ran it, that was probably my first year. Like I didn't trick or treat because I was at his house on Halloween scaring people.
Mm-hmm.
But we made a boatload of money for her.
Good.
And I remember my dad went through the haunted house. I kept bugging him. I was like, "You should go through the haunted house. You should try and find me." And then he went through by himself and he's just going around. He's just laughing at everything. And he comes into my room and like he's looking at me and I jumped down and he just laughed. He's like, "Oh, it's pretty cool." And I was like, "Hey, Dad." And he's like, "Oh, like, hey, Billy." He like pats me and keeps walking. But no, that was good. Being on that side of things too. Like I like going to corn mazes and hay rides and stuff and getting scared. But like scare the people because I had some funny groups
Oh yeah.
that like I would scare and they had some good reactions to it. That was fun.
Nice.
Setting all that stuff up.
So
That's good times.
you mentioned going to the corn maze and the haunted houses. Do you have like a favorite one that you have gone to, like just as an attendant?
For corn maze, I think the one in Schuylerville was a blast.
Liberty Ridge? Or no?
No,
That's a
Schuyler
different area. I'm
Farms
sorry.
over by Saratoga Apple.
Mm-hmm,
You know the apple orchard over there? They got that.
Okay, gotcha.
That one I used to do in middle school and when I was older too.
Okay.
That's usually fun. I like corn mazes. I think I like them better than like hay rides because like haunted hay rides you're sitting with everybody
Yeah.
and you're driving along and you can hear like the other hay rides in front of you like getting jumped and spooked and stuff. So then like you're going around the bend and you're like, okay, something's probably gonna happen.
Right.
But like you're going in a corn maze, you're wide open. You hear people screaming all over the place, and you're like, I don't know if like this turn that I'm making is leading me towards that direction or if
Right.
it's. And I feel like those workers are like, they know what's going on in the corn maze. Like they know the ins and out of that maze. So if like you take a left and they know it's just a loop, and they scare you before you take that left, they can just cut through and then they can just get you again because they know that you're about to just go through the loop.
Right.
So that's good. If you have good workers there, they'll just sit there and hassle you. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, hay rides and stuff are still good. Double M's pretty good.
I've heard
I
good
did
things.
one
I
in.
don't know if I've gone
Yeah,
there.
that's not bad. I've done that like twice. It's not scary, but like it's interesting. I went with Big John one year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
You guys were trying to get me to go. I'm like, I don't know.
Yep. And then there was one in Troy, I think, or Hudson Falls or something. One my sister knew about, and that one was pretty sick too. That one was like you did a hayride, and then they like dropped you off in like the middle of the woods.
Oh.
And then you had like 3 other things you had to get through, like a haunted house, and then like a haunted walkway, and then stuff. So it wasn't just the hayride, and that one was pretty interesting.
Huh.
Scary, very
I
scary.
can imagine.
Cause like they just pulled up. Oh, I remember the first one. It was like a motel,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the strobe lights and everything, and it looked like janky ass motel,
Mm.
and we get off the hayride, and I'm just like, okay, that was fun. She's like, oh, we got to go through all this stuff now. And I was like, what?
What? We're not done? Shit.
And then we started walking through, and then that's when I started getting jumped at and scared and stuff.
Yeah, Mr. G in chat mentions my cousin Jamie. She participated in one in Troy, or just outside of Troy, and she did that for a couple years. She was really invested with that with her friends. Yeah, I've only been to
Oh yeah, it's a blast.
one hayride. I don't know where it was. I went with Charlie and his family.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know me, people who are listening to this podcast, scary stuff not my thing. Yeah, that the hayride was rough the entire time. I got through it though, obviously. But yeah, afterwards,
Did you did you sit on the edge of the
yeah, I was
hayride?
on the back edge of it. Yeah. So yeah, that was rough. But afterwards, like you didn't have that full experience, like you mentioned, of walking back and having to go through stuff. But you did have, they did have like a haunted house or two, like other activities just to kind of do around or whatever.
Mhm.
And yeah, Charlie was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go in this haunted house. So you want to go?" I'm like, "Fuck no,
No.
no, I'm good." I think he dragged his mom with him, or she went because she loves Halloween.
Yeah.
So like, I think she went with him, and they had a good time. But I was just like, "No, get me the fuck out of here. I'm done."
Yep.
And then, yeah, as for corn mazes, yeah, those are a lot of fun. The place I went to, Liberty Ridge, they didn't do people in the maze, as far as I know, until like later on. In at least like
I
going there.
I think I have been to Liberty Ridge. I think we took our summer camp there once. It's
Okay.
just like, let's just go walk through a corn maze, and
Yeah.
then we got kids lost in the corn maze, and we never went back. But I've never done the spooky maze of that one too.
Gotcha.
But I'm pretty sure I know where it is
Hmm.
and what it looks like.
Yeah, the walkthrough of those was always fun, and then that was just a
Oh yeah,
similar experience of like me and the cousins just going around and like independent and whatever, just
yeah,
doing our own thing. That was fun. But yeah, I can't imagine
yeah.
doing it where tension of like someone is around.
Tension. You got flashlights on, so because it's dark out, and
Hmm.
it just makes the turns and everything. You don't really recognize or remember
Right.
anything. And then on top of that, like you said, you got people jumping out at you. It just
Right. I'm
makes
sure
it
it's
very
fun,
stressful.
but yeah. Do I want that? um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah. So experiencing it myself, not for me. Like I'm not gonna be the first in line to go to a haunted house or go to a hayride or whatever. But I do really respect the amount of work that people put into it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know about Universal and like what they do every Halloween, the Halloween Horror
Hmm.
Nights.
Hmm.
I love watching videos of those houses, like walkthroughs, just because to see
Yeah.
like obviously all the work they put into it and experience it without experiencing it.
Yeah.
So this year they did a fantastic job with their
Hmm.
houses, and even last year I know obviously they had to change stuff with the pandemic, but like still did a really good job, and those are fun to do. I don't know if it's a thing if I just got to throw myself in the fire a little bit more to get used to those or whatever, but I'm just like, I'm good watching it behind the screen.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, and just like the choreography and the timing and everything.
Yeah.
Like even when we just did the small one at Sova's house, like I knew like when people would be screaming at like the next portion before me.
Okay. Hmm.
So I would hear like when somebody was coming, and then they'd have to like cut through a few like black tarps and whatever.
Hmm.
So like I would anticipate that the next group of people would be coming. But like that whole timing and everything, it's just interesting, and like seeing everybody, like all the art and all the just the effort and everything is just for a spooky, spooky
Yeah.
holiday that we did it for 3 nights, and we worked on it since like September.
Nice.
And but like those 3 nights were just like a blast.
Hmm.
And I can't even think of, like you said, Universal and all that stuff. They've been probably planning since June, July,
Oh yeah.
and probably even earlier, like
Yeah.
getting everything set up and getting everything ready. And then it's just like 1 month of just
Yeah.
craziness.
And like it's only those certain hours too. Like the rest
Yep.
of the park is totally normal during the day. And they got the
Yeah.
areas like you could walk through in the park that are just scare zones or whatever.
Yeah.
Like making those. Like it's crazy how they could fit
Hmm.
everything in there. And like there's other theme parks that do it too. I know Six Flags used to do their Fright Fest thing. I know
Yeah. I know when we went to you ever been to Six Flags New England?
yes.
That's a beautiful park.
Hmm.
But we would always do we would do a trip with my aunt and uncle who just recently moved, and we'd meet my friend or my cousins who live in Massachusetts or somewhere else, New Hampshire. They're close by to New England, so they'd come by and they'd meet us, and we'd do Fright Fest there.
Mm.
And like just even there, like their animatronics and their all their actors and everything. And we'd stay all day long, and like during the day, it was nice and relaxed. You'd see a few people here and there. They had those funny sideshows here and there.
Hmm.
And then like 6 o'clock hit, and like the fog machines were pumping, and
Hmm.
they had the lights going and the spooky music. It's just a cool
Yeah.
atmosphere. It's I love Halloween. But now it's gonna be finished as soon as we finish recording.
Damn it.
Damn it!
Oh well, we got another. Just gotta wait till next year.
It's got 4 more days. That's it.
Ah, anything else that you like to do during the holiday season?
One thing I do like is watching scary movies.
Segue,
Huh.
segue.
Watching horror
Oh,
movies.
horror